everyone and welcome to the Anime Delia, and thank you for joining me as we talk about chapters 24 to 30 of the Quintessential Quintuplets manga series, where it's festival time and we're looking at the first part of this current arc. All the girls are getting some time to shine, some more than others, yet I still think the development and information given from each character involved was very interesting, laid out equally, as well as it just makes the characters more investable, and which is something I'm looking forward into, because we've already had lots of focus on Miku, Nino's and ICHIKA's character, but then Yotsuba and Isaki don't really get a lot of shine so far in the series, so I'm glad they're giving them some spotlight as well. So let's talk about each character, let's talk about the events, and let's break it down and see what my thoughts are on these chapters. Starting off with the character of Yotsuba. This character didn't get much of a display, but she displayed most of her characteristics we've seen already that we've come to know from the series, like her lively personality and that infinite stamina. Yet, the fact that they re-showed this and retold us this, but emphasized this on a larger scale, I thought was magnificent. Because they took the fact that yes, she has infinite stamina, but made it and hinted at the fact that she has possibly a future desire for something that is stamina based. Like maybe she wants to become an athlete. Because they have a talk between Yutsuki and ICHIKA Itsuki and Miku, to where he says, all you girls are quintuplets. You were born with the same abilities. It's just that Yotsuba has worked hard. She's put a lot of dedication and effort into her physical abilities and her stamina, allowing her to be this infinite stamina monster that she now possesses. But at the same time, again, it alludes to the fact that she could have a future desire for something that is stamina based. Maybe she wants to be an athlete in running, or she just wants to, something along those lines, if you see what I mean. Again, she didn't get much showcasing in this first half of the arc, but I thought that what she did bring to the chapter and the story so far was some liveliness, some fun, and I really did like the expressions and a happy expression on her face when she was helping Yusuke out with the test of courage trial. That was such a good panel with her smiling. It really did melt my heart a little bit. So hopefully we do see a little bit more of Yotsuba and kind of develop her character a little bit further, because she's a dark horse in this series. A character that I can really get behind and enjoy reading, but at the same time, I do want to learn more, and I want to see where they're going with her. Now then, we're going to travel from one sister to another, and it's time to talk Miku. I said it before in these reviews that the series is building her up to be the most interestingest character so far within the series, given the fact that she now has to deal with this mental struggle and this idea of sharing everything equally. This is a theme that gets brought up within these chapters constantly from her character. She almost seems like she's fighting with her sisters, because there seems to be a few occasions within these chapters where they're all like, no, you do this, you do that, and then she's like, we need to share equally, and gets angry. So yeah, there's a bit of hostility and a bit of kind of confusion within this, as Miku still doesn't understand her feelings, nor is she willing or has the courage to act upon any of her feelings that she currently possesses at this moment in time. So it feels like to me that when it comes to everything apart from Yusuke, she's willing to be equal and share everything fairly. But when it comes to Yusuke himself, she wants to be with him. She's not very happy with the situation of this bonfire festival, in where Yusuke has to dance with ICHIKA because of the circumstances that unfolded in the last arc. Yet, she's kind of submitted herself to that until the ending, where she kind of breaks out and goes, no, we can still do this like that we were meant to, but we're going to make it fair for everybody. And I like this because it shows more direction from my character. It shows that we've got a plan. And honestly, I just thought that her expressions throughout this entirety were very cute. And honestly, I want to see more from her. I want to see her break out of her shell and just kind of express herself openly to Yusuke as much as possible. Although I'm a bit fearful if she does do that too soon, because Yusuke is just going to blank it out and then just, be typical him, not really understand what Miku is trying to get at. But nevertheless though, Miku herself, so far in this arc, has been extraordinary, and I want to see more, because I like her interactions with ICHIKA and the other sisters, but at the same time, yeah, we're gonna go with it. Now, all being said, I would still be a bit upset if Nino doesn't get her dance and she gets let down. Yes, I may have been a bit harsh on her character in the past, but after she stuck her hand out to save Yusaki's job in the kind of test ordeal, then she at least deserves a form of a reward. And of course, Yusaki is now playing as this image of himself from his handbook. He's now put on disguise, and Nino seemed to think that that is the person from the handbook, and she wants to dance with him. If she gets let down and Yusaki doesn't actually transform into that guy and dance with her, it's going to be a very sad panel to see and to read. So hopefully she does get some form of justice in that regard. Nevertheless, seeing her act all scared in the woods caught me a bit off guard, but I really did like seeing that side of her character as it offered something new and fresh. Yeah, out of the blue, so honestly, I thought that was great. She's always presented herself as being confident and well composed, but within the woods on a haunty, scary night, she was anything but that. So yes, I'm really curious to see how the story is going to give her that dance, especially now that Yusaki is coming down with a fever, and it seems to be intertwining with every other character within the show. I do have a kind of a theory of how it's going to go, maybe more on it towards the end. But now let's talk about ICHIKA's character. Having been this supportive big sister, it's possible that she has been able to provide a support up to now without really being able to cross her sister's desires or worrying about how her actions is going to affect her sisters in the long run. But now that she's intertwined with Yusaki and Miku's now in the mix, she's very cautious and worried about her actions around Yusaki as they might affect Miku and making her upset or worried or just down in the dumps in general. Which I thought was quite entertaining to see, as it added a more realistic vibe and feel to the chapters themselves, which again, for me, added more enjoyment. I will have to say though, seeing her cry in the storage sort of hut was really sad. And it was also a great way of conveying how she truly feels. As her heart deep down wanted to dance with Yusaki at the bonfire, that's what she deeply desires even if she doesn't see it herself in her own mind. Adding the fact that she doesn't really realize the situation, like I've just mentioned, it makes the scene all the more impactful, which for me is what I'm here to see. I'm here to see great emotion, good character development, some great art, and above all else, just a good, enjoyable story that just makes me laugh, makes me cheer, and gets a reaction out of me, which at the moment with this character, we're certainly getting that. She is playing her role superbly. Now, it's very clear that she's starting to get conflicted about supporting Miku or acting on her own desires. This, I think, is very clear from what we see from the chapters, and I think it does need to be cleared up between the two sisters, and this idea of fairness now entering the story is a great way to achieve that. Now, a question. Would it be fair to allow any of the sisters to act towards Yusaki if they wish or desire to, based on their feelings? Is this a wise decision for Miku to offer her sisters? As I don't think this is really the case, because obviously ICHIKA would be a lot more knowledgeable and skillful in the terms of flirting or acting around guys. She has more confidence in that department. Yet, if we go back to Yotsuba's statement about her developing her physical abilities to being more kind of beneficial to her and better than her sisters, then I guess the fairness does come into effect here, because it just depends on how much commitment and how much hard work you put into it, to how much result you actually achieve. So yes, they're all equal, they gotta act and share everything equal, but at the same time, this idea of fairness is creating a way and a loophole out of that to where anyone is free game. And you know what? I want to see how far they can show each character developing and progressing in this type of format, because I think it can lead to some very interesting directions. Plus, ICHIKA seems to be the most daring sister out of all of them, and she was teased to have done something to Yusaki while they're all sleeping in that inn. Now lastly, let's talk about Itsuki's story within this arc, as it's only just begun, yet it feels very intriguing and I want to learn more and more. as all we know so far is that she wants to test Yusuke. We knew this from the very beginning. Yet, from her perspective, up to this point, all she's done is seen disappointment. But with his dedication in wanting to find her, searching all around the ski slope, trying desperately to work out where she is, all the while having a fever and then collapsing at the end, this is sure to A, win him some good boy points in her eyes, or more interestingly, Itsuki could show signs of regret and guilt after this situation. After all, she could possibly be thinking along the mindset that it's possibly her fault, that he's pushed himself too hard and has forced him to collapse due to this fever. And it's very in her character to think this way, based on the information and the reactions we've seen from her from chapter 1 to chapter 30. She definitely wants to be very hard on herself and push herself harder, but at the same time, I feel like when she thinks she's made a bad choice or a bad decision, she'll beat herself up repeatedly, and it's up to Yusuke and her sisters to calm her down and to kind of make her see from a different perspective. So this in turn will help her develop further in the second half of this story arc. But at the same time, there is one key line that made me very, very interested. And that was when she was talking to ICHIKA in the inn room before she left. There was a line from ICHIKA's character where she was like, oh, so Yusuke is still thinking about that. Yusuke is different from father. What on earth is happening there? That makes me want to just dive in and just type away, see what that result is and what's going on in that situation. So I really can't wait to see that, because that is great tension building writing right there. So our main protagonist has created a very deep hole for himself, with him now collapsing thanks to his fever. The dance is still standing with ICHIKA, as well as having to somehow sneak off and act as his old photo bad boy with Nino's character to give her that dance. How is he going to climb out of this mountain of a hole? But wait, could his illness give him a chance to achieve all of this? He could dance with ICHIKA and Miku while the festival is going on and while it ends, and then once it does, he can very quickly use the excuse that he needs to recover more, so he has to go and rest. With a quick wardrobe change, and then meeting a sad-looking Nino, who kind of would be very upset and sad that she'd been let down. She wanted to hold Yusuke's bad boy persona's hand when the bonfire ended. But this, of course, didn't happen because, being the fact that he's playing the role of a bad boy, he has to play it off as always being late. Now, this would fit in line with the character and with like the vibe and the personality and persona it's giving off. But at the same time, I will admit, seeing Nino cry or with tears in her eyes would make me very sad just thinking about it, and would obviously be very kind of a struggle to read nevertheless. But again, it does fit in to the personalities of all the characters that are present here. So, who knows? Could turn out that way, or it could turn out a different way. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the chapters I have mentioned that I'll be covering. I can't wait to see how this arc will conclude, but nevertheless, I want to hear your thoughts on these chapters and on any of the points that I've raised in this video. Make sure you comment down below what you think, and like the video if you did. Subscribe for more content, and as always, have a great day. Arigato, matane, goodbye.